Hello and welcome to my podcast, Up Your Total Glow, your podcast for your body, mind and soul to support, guide and empower you to uncover the most glowing, healthiest and feel-good version of you. I am super excited that you are here because if you ask me, there's nothing that looks and feels better. In today's episode, I'm speaking with the amazing Kaiut. Kathy is a yoga teacher and she has developed the amazing Joint Renewal System when she turned 50. It is Kathy's mission to offer a unique and mindful approach to body and mind that rejuvenates the body, calms the nervous system, and builds strength and vitality as you age. This was an amazing interview, and Kathy shares with us, among many other things, why her yoga differs from so many other yoga practices, how she can help you to completely rejuvenate your joints. She also shares her wisdom around yoga, what it is and what it isn't, and what it means to reconnect to your inner nature. If you would like to up your yoga journey and live pain-free with joints that feel absolutely amazing, then this episode is a must listen for you. Please enjoy. Hello and welcome, Katie. I am so excited that you are here today. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited to be here too. Thank you for having me, Ruth.
Oh, totally. Maybe as a start, could you introduce yourself to my audience? The big question, who are you?
Yeah, who am I? Well, I'm a person who loves yoga. And I've loved yoga all my life, well, all my adult life anyway. And I founded Kaiut Yoga a few years ago. I've been teaching yoga for many, many years, but always as a kind of side hustle, as you were. I'm a trained art psychotherapist and I've worked as a life coach. And when I moved to Canada 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of a lifelong dream was to open my own yoga studio and actually teach more. And that's what I've been doing. So yeah, I struggled when I hit menopause with carrying on with my yoga practice. So I found a new practice around the age of 50 that comes from Brazil. It's called Kaiut Yoga, which nobody's ever heard of, but I call it Joint Renewal because it really helps with the joints.
Okay, so, sounds amazing. Let's go back a little bit. So
yeah.
What happened when you hit menopause? Why weren't you able to enjoy your usual yoga practice anymore? So I'm guessing had something to do with your joints because you were hinting at that now, but yeah, could you just help us a little bit more through? So what was your yoga journey looking before like, or your yoga practice? And what happened then within your body? And then I would love to know, so how is this amazing Kaiut practice that I don't know anything about either? How is this different to other forms of yoga?
Sure. Okay, so if we backtrack to what happened when I started in perimenopausal symptoms. So what I noticed was, for me, I had various symptoms. For every woman has a different set of circumstances, and some women thankfully sail through without a problem at all. But I think for me, what it was lots of hot flushes and aching body, like aching joints, like creaking kind of. And I remember talking to my yoga teacher at the time and saying, my knee is really playing up and I, don't know what to do about this. And I was eating healthily and, taking supplements and doing things that I needed to do, or I thought I needed to do, which helped to some degree. But this stiffness that was creeping up on me was just remarkable. And And I was really embarrassed about it, because there was me teaching yoga and getting stiffer and older by the day, it felt like. So I kind of didn't really tell anyone or do anything about it, but I did stop teaching yoga for a year. And that was when we came out of that year, then I went back and I kind of dabbled around, and yeah, it was, how can I say it? It was kind of, it wasn't one specific joint, it was all of them. And it would cycle through. So it would be my left knee, and then it would be my right hip, and then it would be my shoulders, and my shoulders were achy, and I couldn't do computer work, which I know, you know, we all do far too much computer work, and shoulders have a consequence with that. However, for me, it was just this, yeah, this was aching one day, this was aching another day. And as I say, I was really embarrassed about it, because it's like, well, this isn't what I want to present to the world as a yoga teacher. And so I was really frustrated, and thought at that point, you know, maybe I just have to find something else to do, because maybe I just, you know, go for walks with friends and that'll be enough, because my yoga practice it really isn't doing it for me. And that was actually really, really sad, because I'll just share here that yoga had been such an integral part of my journey, including having a child that died at birth. And when that happened, I was in my 30s at that point. When that happened, it was yoga that brought me back, you know, because as you can imagine, with such an event, I left my body, basically. It was an emergency C-section. It was all, you know, big trauma, tragedy. He was, yeah, we didn't know he had died. So the last scan that we had, we knew he was in distress. We didn't know he died. And so the last scan that we had for this baby was showing his heartbeat, showing everything okay. And then we went into the operating theater, and they lifted him out, a C-section. It was that moment of, it's a boy, it's a baby. And then he died, and they couldn't resuscitate him. So, you know, that shock that went through my body at that time, you just can't possibly imagine. And I didn't trust my body. I didn't trust my body to have children then. I didn't trust my body for all sorts of things. And it was yoga that was my practice that brought me literally back to life. And, you know, one of my second child, I went on to have 2 more children. My second son, he was born with my yoga teacher at the time, was my doula, was my birth assistant.
Beautiful.
And you know, that's how important it was for me to really, and I managed to have vaginal deliveries after a C-section, which is kind of unheard of. You know, most doctors go, no, you can't do that. And I was like, no, I am so confident in my body. And it was yoga that gave me that confidence, you know. So then if you fast forward to finding that I couldn't do yoga anymore, it was really devastating, because you can understand my connection to the practice was very, very deep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can so relate to this love and this connection with yoga. I think it is because it is not just a physical practice, because there is so much more to yoga, but we'll dive deeper into this later, I believe. First of all, I would like to thank you to be so open and vulnerable and share your story with us. I cannot even imagine the shock that you have gone through. And yeah, absolutely. I'm just really glad that yoga was in your life and helped you through this, and also maybe come back into your body. I'd love to hear, so could you describe your yoga practice that you did when you started menopause, premenopause, and those joints started to ache everywhere, and then how you came to hear about Kaiut and how this differs? And obviously you have created your own practice through this, and how this looks like.
Yeah. So what I was doing before, it was very influenced by Vanda Scaravelli. So I trained in Hatha Yoga. So I went to a Shivananda boot camp. So those of you who know that name, it's like a worldwide organization that does classical Hatha Yoga training, your basic poses, you learn a sequence. It's a run-of-the-mill, very good, grounded yoga practice. It's wonderful, and it's brought yoga to so many people in the world over the years. So deep bow of gratitude for that lineage, the Shivananda. But when I was back in Scotland and teaching, and I kind of needed a booster, I needed another training. I needed to keep up with my own practice. I needed a teacher. And so I came across this teacher. I said, I'm teaching, but I just want to, and I think all yoga teachers need to do this, and I hope they all do. I need to keep up with my own practice. And so this teacher happened to be, and I'd never heard of, a follower of Vanda Scaravelli, who's trained with Iyengar in the, what shall I say, 80s, I think she did, in the 1980s, 80s, 90s, or maybe earlier than that. Yeah, but anyway, for a long time, Mr. Iyengar used to travel to Italy and work with Vanda. And Vanda then started working with her own students. She never opened a school, and she never did anything kind of other than just work with a handful of students. So I've had the privilege of working with people who'd worked with Vanda, because Vanda had died by the time I came across. Anyway, what she has done is she really... she talks about the principles of yoga, which it's like the beauty of the body and gravity and the power of the breath, not with pranayama, not doing kind of fixed breathing poses, but just what the breathing apparatus is all about, which is absolutely beautiful. And the way it's taught varies from teacher to teacher, because people have taken those principles and then developed their own methodology around it. So it was a beautiful practice, and still informs. And one of the key principles of the Scaravelli practice is called Awakening the Spine. That's the title of Vanda's book. And if anyone wants to read an excellent book on yoga, I would recommend Vanda Scaravelli, Awakening the Spine. It's just gorgeous. And that practice really helped me. It just kept me in the kind of zone of understanding yoga in a deeper way and everything else. But on a physical level, the kind of biomechanics of joints, which I understand now, I look back on the practice and I think, yeah, we didn't go into the joints in the same way that I do now. We didn't have that focus on the joints. We had the focus on the spine, and that was lovely. But in terms of what I understand about joint health today, I can see that that's where I was kind of avoiding what was going on in my joints. And then it got to a point where I couldn't avoid it anymore, because they were just reacting so much. Yeah, so that's that. And so I think the principles of that practice still inform me. The Shivananda still informs me. It's all come together, and that's why I call my method the Joint Renewal System, because it's influenced by everything that I've done. And the Kaiut yoga, that shift that I made into Kaiut yoga was after a period of exploration where I became a bit of a yoga junkie. I think we've all done, people who are interested in yoga all do this at some stage or over their lives. Just whatever class I can go to, whether it is power yoga, Bikram yoga, Ashtanga, Iyengar, just the whole works, Hatha, slow, restorative, yin, you name it. I was just kind of a bit of a yoga junkie, going to all classes everywhere. And I was looking for a solution to what I was experiencing in my body. And then I did this spiritual retreat. And as part of the retreat, so it wasn't even a yoga retreat, it was a meditation consciousness thing. As part of the retreat, they offered yoga in the morning. It was optional. It wasn't even, on the curriculum. It was just a side thing. And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna do the yoga too. And after the first class, and there was a teacher, and she'd been taught by Mr. Kaiut and the Kaiut method. And after that first class, I was, what was that? Because it was so different from anything else that I'd been exposed to.
I'm so curious. Tell us, so how is the Kaiut method different on the joints than the usual practice that we have? I'm really curious. Is that possible to explain?
Yeah,
or
you know what? I've been trying to sort of articulate this because it has to be experienced, honestly.
well, obviously, yeah.
Trying to describe what it's like to put your hand in a river of water is, you know, you can say lots and lots of words, and then you actually put your hand in the water and it's like, wow, okay, got it. You know, it's like that. You have to really get on your mat and experience it to really understand it. However, I can, you know, articulate and put into words to some degree. So if people have experienced a slow restorative yoga, then take that. If people have experienced a powerful kind of Iyengar, Ashtanga kind of, you know, holding something, take that. And if people have experienced meditation and a stillness and a calming of the mind, take that and combine them all together, and you kind of have a sense, and it's still far away, but it's still, that's a sense of what it's like. So it's slow and restorative, but at the same time we're working really hard on the joints. So we're doing long holds, and we're putting pressure on the joints in a really, really healthy way. Alignment's really important, subtlety is really important, and variety is really important. It's not a stuck, you know, like in Bikram, they do the same routine every time you go to a hot class. You got the same things. Even in Shivananda, there was a routine that we would talk through everything else. Well, in the Kaiut method, I have 1 through 100 class plans. Each one varies differently, and the variety will be so subtle and so important because, for example, we'll do some strap work and we'll place our strap on the ball of the foot. The next time we'll do strap work, we'll place it on the arch of the foot. And you're invited to see that difference. And it's a huge difference in the hip joint, when you do just some subtle change like that. So those kind of differences, those kind of changes are really, really important to the practice. And so you're building a neurogenesis for the relationship between the mind and the body, which is yoga, which is, you know, it's all about joining and connecting the body and mind together. And it does it so well through these micro moments, these micro movements, I should say, and this variety, and just a meditation, a moving meditation.
Sounds beautiful. Sounds like everything what yoga is for me. Would you say that from a very biochemical point of view, the difference lies in the variety, like you said, in the alignment and in the subtlety of the movement, why it is so helpful and healthy for the joints instead of putting too much pressure on them?
Yeah. And we're not moving joints, how shall I say? We are putting pressure, like sometimes there's extreme pressure on the joints, but it's not done from a place of excitement, which is really important, because the nervous system, in order to restore and rest, I mean, I know you know this, Ruth, that in order to restore, in order to heal, in order to rejuvenate, the body needs rest. The parasympathetic nervous system needs to be switched on, which is our rest and digest mode. Now, most of us walk through our day in our active sympathetic nervous system, and we're constantly on the go. And, you know, that's referred to as fight, flight, or flee, because that's when it's really fully activated into a kind of fear response, anxiety response. But many of us aren't at that level, but we're still activated. We're still on, should I say. So this is where we switch off. And yet it's really powerful work. So you're in this kind of paradox of calming the nervous system, being in this very meditative kind of state, which the teacher leads you into, and yet you're working powerfully.
Amazing.
Really powerfully.
I love it. I'm definitely gonna try out your sessions. I know that you have amazing offerings there, and we'll discuss this later, but I can't wait to try this out for myself.
Yeah, no, you'll love it, Drew, really.
I'm pretty sure I will. I would like to know, so how are your joints today?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I should say that.
Would you say they are even better than when you practiced your yoga in the old way and you were still premenopausal, or are they like that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to switch the heater off in here. Getting hot. Much healthier, okay. Joints. You know, amazing. I can see that. We do a lot. We work with the 3 girdles, like the plantar girdles, the ankles, feet, the hip girdle, pelvis, hips, and the shoulder girdle. So those are the 3 main girdles we work with, and then all the sort of micro joints that we have in the feet and the hands. And the ankles, there's some poses that I couldn't even begin to even feel my ankles. I couldn't even, when we were doing a Virasana, a kneeling pose, and asked to press our ankle bones together behind us as we were kneeling and seeing if we could come to some place of sitting. And that pose, I was like, are my ankles touching or not? And I'd have to look. I'd have to look, because I had no sensory connection to what was happening in that area of my body. It was so lost and forgotten. And I think that's, you know, more than anything, that's what's built up within me. It's like I have a much better perception of my body and connection to my body. My brain tracks my body map in my brain is very detailed and filled in. You know, there are no gaps, there are no kind of just blank areas where no one's gone in that territory anymore, if you think of it as a map, as an analogy. You know, uncharted territory. My ankles were uncharted territory. And if you think about how important ankles are for balance, for walking, for, you know, and so many students that come to my classes have the same thing. It's like, I can totally relate, because you don't know that you're missing that area of your body, in your brain map.
Of course.
Until you have an injury. That's usually the point at which they twist their ankle and they go, you know, what? Oh, my ankle. Yeah. Hello, ankle. You know.
Wow. But I love the testimony again of the body, how it is able to recover, to rejuvenate, and to rebalance, given the right support. Obviously, your body needed a different kind of practice for your mind, for the movement and the connection. And you have found this and started practicing it yourself, and now even recreated your own amazing practice and are empowering others with this. So I think this is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I would love to hear your take on what is yoga and what is yoga not, because I do feel there's a lot of confusion in our Western world in regards to yoga. And yeah, I'm excited to chat about this with you, from yoga teacher to yoga teacher. So what's your take here? What is yoga and what is not yoga?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, yoga was brought to the West from, some really wonderful yoga teachers came from India. People went to India, found yoga. And I think our Western mind, we see people moving the body and we think, oh, they're doing fitness, they're doing strengthening, they're doing weights, they're doing, we immediately go into like sports and fitness mentality when we see people moving the body in a systematic, controlled way. We think, oh, they're building strength, they're doing this, they're doing that, which, and I find myself always kind of battling with that mindset because it's so ingrained in our culture, What those yogis are doing and what the roots of yoga is all about is that they are meditating through the body. They are creating flow in the body. So all the systems are flowing, are moving, because it's for rejuvenation, it's for longevity, it's for better health. And we all know, like, we're all 70% water, right? That's more or less what they come up with when these chemists or biologists tell us, right? Well, what happens to water if it doesn't move? It stagnates. It goes bad, it goes off, it goes, we all can look at sort of stagnant bits of water that we've seen out in nature. It's like, not so nice. So why do we need to move the body? Because we flow, we need to keep those things moving. And it doesn't have to be running a marathon, nothing wrong with running marathons. Oh my God, I'm so impressed with people who run marathons. That's brilliant. But for the average person who's not that geared up for doing extreme sports or something, it's like, no, just moving, keep moving. And then what the movement is, and why yoga is so important, is because it connects, rather than just making it a physical movement. It's like, can I connect the breath to the movement? Can I be fully present in this movement? So it's more like a martial art, that comes also from the East, that the Tai Chi or the Qigong have much more alignment with yoga, in my mind, than our fitness approach. Because we're moving our body in a very, very mindful way for better health, for longevity. And we're doing it with as much kindness and respect for everything that we are, body, mind, spirit, emotions, mental activity. All of that comes with us to the mat. And yoga is the practice to connect all those bits and not feel so fragmented.
Namaste. Absolutely beautiful. I couldn't have described it or put it in words any better. And I would just like to add for myself, then when we are in this moving flow and have been able to unite body and mind and in this meditative state of movement, then as a byproduct, yes, we can create strength. And yes, we can create more stability in the joints like you do, or even more flexibility, but it's not the focus, it's the byproduct. That's how I feel about it. So yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about your programs now. So tell us, how can we find you? Where can we find you? How can we join your programs? What programs have you available for us?
Okay. So if anyone wants to find out more, go to www.kathywhiteyoga.com, and that's Kathy with a K, White with an I, all one word, Kathy White Yoga. So kathywhiteyoga.com. And on the front page, you can sign up to get my free joint renewal guide, which will just give you a better indication of what, a better introduction, I should say, of what this practice is all around. And that guide, I actually embed it into my membership site. So you sign up, you get a free membership to Kathy White Yoga. And I've got a couple of videos, a couple of other things that you can sort of just feel your way around and get started. It's like I give you an opportunity to put your hand in the water, as I was saying before, to actually experience something. And then if people are interested, then within the membership site, you can see different things you can sign up for. I have a 21-day challenge. And I often run a free 7-day challenge. So if people want to wait for the next one, I think I've got one. Well, I don't know when this podcast is published, but one will be coming up soon.
Amazing.
And the big program that I love to offer is my Enliven program. And that's very dear to my heart because it brings I mentioned earlier that I trained as an art psychotherapist and life coach. And I work with a tool called The Work, which is a mindfulness practice of inquiry into thinking and the stressful thoughts in the mind. And I combine that with yoga into this really powerful 3-month program I call Enliven. And I love offering that. I offer it usually once, twice a year. And next one will be coming up January 2023.
Wow.
So, yeah, lots of different. And then of course there's classes. You can just join, you know, my Zoom classes if you're interested. So lots on offer, but first place to start, it would be, you know, get your joint renewal guide.
Amazing. I think it's absolutely wonderful and brilliant what you're doing, because I know so many people out there do suffer with joint issues. So, and obviously our joints are very important for us, for our longevity, for our vitality. So yes, this is super, super, super important and so
yeah.
powerful.
And just to say, Ruth, on that note, you know, we're kind of conditioned by the zeitgeist, the modern way of thinking about joints is that there's normal wear and tear, so they wear out. Well, I don't know. Maybe they just need help in rejuvenating.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So normal wear and tear, I would question that. And the second thing is that, oh, well, if it does wear out, I'll just get a replacement.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't replace your joint. You get a false joint. You get an artificial joint, which, thank God, I mean, amazing. Don't get me wrong. This is brilliant science. And, you know, I know so many people who have had joint replacements that it's been a game changer for them. What I'd like to see is that let's get to a preventative, that we don't have to go to the surgery. The surgery is extreme, right? And if you do have to have surgery, what's the post-op plan? Like, get into that joint, that new joint you've just been given, get into it, find out more about it, see how that knee or hip works, and go with it and integrate it into your body, because you're going to have a whole new bunch of realignments, because your body will be adapting to something completely foreign. And there's going to be all sorts of consequences of that. So, you know, just that whole idea of it's normal wear and tear, question that and see if you can start rejuvenating now, so you don't end up down the path of needing a replacement. And if you do need a replacement, fair enough, you know, no problems with that.
Totally. I couldn't agree more with you. And thank you so much for saying this. And I also feel this feels so much more empowering to me, hearing this and knowing this. You know, it gives us our power back over our bodies, or, you know, in tune with our bodies to do something, to rebalance, instead of simply to give up and kind of throw them out. I don't know, that doesn't feel very empowering or nice. But Kathy, I would like to ask you a final question. Could you give my audience 3 gold nuggets? So 3 gold nuggets that empower them in a very quick way.
Okay, so one golden nugget would be everyone can do this. So if you're sitting at home thinking, listening to this, and you're thinking, nah, yoga's not for me, then all it means is you haven't found the right practice or teacher for you.
Agreed.
There are so many teachers out there, brilliant teachers, very, very inspired, deep practices. Find one that suits you, and there will be someone there. Even if it's chair yoga, even if you can't get up and down off the ground, even if you're in extreme pain for whatever reason, there is a practice for you. Don't think you can't do yoga. You can.
Love it.
So that would be nugget number 1. Number 2 is make a commitment to yourself. Like, really love yourself. And that's, it's like easier said than done. It's like, I don't love myself. I wake up in the morning and I was like, oh God, why am I this? Why am I that? So just really find some support to deal with that inner chatter, that belief that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve better, that you can't improve. Like that mindset piece, get help with that too, because I think that will sabotage your endeavors for health and wellness more than anything.
Totally.
So really, really help yourself by addressing your thinking. Really question those thoughts that you're having that would pull you down, and say, other than you are an amazing human being, and you have infinite potential within you for healing, for health, for life. That's the truth of it.
I love it. Love it. Your golden nuggets are amazing.
And my third golden nugget would be to smile. And that's like the simplest thing we can do. Smile at ourselves, smile at what we do in life, smile at our seriousness, smile at our despair, kindly. Smile at our depression, smile at our anger, smile at our beauty, and just keep smiling.
And it's for free, and it's something that we all can do. So
absolutely,
no excuses.
It's also a gift for others, Ruth, too. When you're walking down the street and you just smile at someone, it makes their day. You have no idea what a gift that can be. Just smiling at someone. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know I said this was my last question, but when you shared your golden nuggets, another question popped up. And just briefly, could you share with us, so how do we find the right yoga teacher? Because your first golden nugget was, find the right yoga teacher if so far yoga didn't feel right for you. So how do we find the right yoga teacher for us?
I would say put an intention out. Just make that commitment to yourself. I'm going to find my teacher.
Beautiful.
Because that's, that expression, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. Well, you have to be ready. You have to say, I'm ready for a yoga practice now. Please send me a teacher. Give me a teacher. And then, you can't just sit there and expect someone to knock at your door, obviously. It's not going to work. So then you have to get out there. And whether that getting out there is looking on Zoom, because you want Zoom classes, there's a choice. You can come on Zoom to my classes, for example. Or you want live in-person classes wherever you are. Look what's doable, what's available, and go try them all. Go to, if it takes you a year, if it takes you 5 years, you're still doing yoga because you're practicing with these different classes and different styles and everything else. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, but you have that intention. I'm going to find my teacher. And you have that intention that I'm going to do yoga. And those two intentions together will, ask friends. They'll say, oh, I got this amazing teacher I do classes with. And you may find that you're with a teacher for 6 months and then you'll change. And you may find you're with a teacher for 10 years and then you'll change. So, just really make it your practice and your journey. And that's what I would say. Make your intention first.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I have enjoyed this conversation so much. You are such a light. You're full of wisdom, kindness, and beauty. I really, really love what you are about. Thank you so much for helping to make our world a happier, healthier place.
No, well, thank you, Ruth. And thank you for this amazing podcast that you do in this service. You serve your community and others who come across what you're offering. Just great. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make this world a happier, healthier place for sure.
Let's. Thank you, Kathy. If you enjoy and love my podcast, I would be super grateful and totally thrilled if you could help me to make our world a healthier, happier place. And you can do so by sharing, subscribing, liking, and reviewing my podcast, because this will help that others can find it too. I know that you were born to live your best life and feel absolutely amazing in your beautiful body, your brilliant mind, and your boundless soul. So what are you still waiting for? Please make sure you do. I'm your biggest cheerleader. Keep glowing. Much love.